These long dog days of summer, I mean, we just made it through a heat wave. Mama was parched through this heat wave. I was hitting up Dunkin' every single day, and I will continue to probably for the rest of my days, but especially this summer. Dunkin' is helping everyone stay cool this summer with its lineup of refreshers. These drinks are packed with bold, fruity flavors and served ice cold. It's amazing. Dunkin' refreshers are the perfect afternoon pick-me-up. I like to start my morning with them personally, and then sometimes I go back for a second one because I'm just feeling crazy. They come in a variety of delicious flavors, including fan favorites mango pineapple and strawberry dragon fruit. And then for a limited time, there's black cherry and there's pink pineapple. I'm going to tell you something right now, and it's a bold claim, let me tell you, but I stand behind it. Pink pineapple will change your life. It is so good. It has me feeling like I'm sitting in a pool, resort side, just living, honey. It's so yummy. Try your favorite flavor with green tea, sparkling water, lemonade, or Dunkin's all-new limeade. I haven't tried the limeade yet, but I'm going to. Usually I get my drinks made with green tea and occasionally lemonade, but I do really like the green tea. Or if you don't want to build your own, try one of Dunkin's curated refreshers like the Cherry Lime Ricky or the Ultimate Pink Daydream. The Cherry Lime Ricky, scrumptious. I could drink like 3 of these a day. They're so freaking yummy. Head to Dunkin' today and find your favorite refresher. Dunkin' refreshers contain less than 1% fruit juice. Limited time offer. Every good detective needs a partner to support them on important cases. Think of a State Farm agent like your sidekick, there to help you along the way in your search for coverage. State Farm can help you choose the coverage you need, whether it's for your home, car, boat, or even RV. With so many options, it's nice knowing you have help finding what fits for you so you can get back to solving all of life's bigger cases. Go to statefarm.com or use the award-winning app to connect with a local agent and get a quote. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, oh yeah, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
Hey weirdos, I'm Alaina.
And I'm Ash.
And this is Morbid.
Give us more morbid.
Do it. This is a full length, big old morbid.
Huge.
It's pretty big. So this is going to be part 3 of our West Memphis Three series.
And guess what? Not the final part.
Yeah, I was just gonna. It's not the end, guys. It's gonna be a 4-parter. I just can't make it 3. I feel like I will be cheating you all of details and intrigue and little tidbits if I try to shove it all into 3. And I feel like there's so much. This is going to focus on the trial today in part 3, and I feel like there's so much in the trial that I just can't skip through it.
I also feel like I'm going to be sobbing by the end of this episode.
It's pretty hard, but I think in 4 we're going to go more into their prison terms, the Alfred plea that got them out of jail or out of prison, and also in between, all the people who rallied for them, everybody who got together to get them out of jail. So I want to really concentrate on that and then talk about other evidence that came to light afterwards. So I feel like that deserves its own episode. So we're getting another episode after this. So that'll be the conclusion. So I hope you guys are digging this because it's not ending.
Well, before we get to part 3 of the West Memphis 3 case, we do need to fill you in on our live shows because we just have to.
And because they are not canceled yet.
Guys, fingers fucking crossed. We haven't heard anything yet.
Nope. So everybody just, hold on tight.
Cross your fingers all together.
Punch COVID-19 in the face and tell it you want to come to our live shows.
And after you cross your fingers, wash your fucking hands.
Yeah, everybody keep washing those hands.
Yeah, wash your damn hands.
And don't go out. Social distance, okay? just give it a couple weeks.
I have a feeling most of our listeners are like us, and they
Yeah,
probably
I feel
already
like
are
they are.
practicing social distance.
I think you are like us. I
I practice social distance on a regular
But
basis.
keep doing that, and a couple weeks, guys. We're gonna flatten this curve. We're gonna get past it.
It's gonna be
Everybody's just gotta hunker down.
hunker down,
That's
watch
all.
a movie, wash your hands. So
Yeah.
April 14th, we're going to be at the Punchline Comedy Club in Philadelphia.
Philly, Liberty Bell.
April 15th, we're going to be at the DC Improv in Washington, DC. And now Alaina's going to go Monuments.
So many monuments.
Then the April 23rd will be at the Death Becomes Us Festival. It's going to be so fun. It's going to happen. I know it.
Guys, I want to come to the Death Becomes Us festival.
I want it so bad.
Get your tickets for it. It's gonna be awesome.
And that's at the Gramercy Theater in New York City, New York.
So fun.
May 6th, Stand Up Live, Huntsville, Alabama.
Alabama, you're in May, so it's looking good.
Yeah,
It's
looking good.
looking good, May.
May 7th, we have 2 shows at Zany's. One's early, one's late. Let's get it.
I think Nashville. I think we're gonna see you. I really do. I feel it.
God, I want to see
feel it,
all of you. It's making me so sad that there's possibilities of cancellations.
I know, and I'm trying to put it into the universe that it's not.
It's not.
We're good.
June 2nd, Good Nights Comedy Club in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Raleigh, we're totally gonna see you. I just feel it in my bones.
If they cancel a show on the fucking week of my birth, let me tell you, coronavirus, we're gonna have more problems than we already do.
COVID-19 is shaking in its cells.
Yeah. June 3rd, the Comedy Zone in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte, we're coming for you.
June 11th, I believe there's still some tickets lying around for this, so get your tickets. That is our show at Talia Hall in Chicago.
Oh, come on, Chi-Town. It's going to be awesome.
And here's my guilt trip. We added this show because a lot of you said that you didn't get tickets in time, so we added this show and we'd like to sell it out. So scoop up the last remaining tickets so
Go
we have
scoop those
2
up.
sold out shows.
Go scoop them up.
Please. The next day we're going to be at Talia Hall again, June 12th, Chicago, sold out.
We're going to see you.
July 8th, Comedy Works South in Greenwood Village, Colorado. Colorado's so beautiful. I'm so excited. Have you ever been to Colorado?
I have not.
You're going to think it's gorgeous.
I think I've been to the airport, but I haven't been to
The airport is spooky as
It
fuck.
is.
We could literally cover that in an episode.
We probably could.
And then July 11th, we're just going to stay home. Like I said, maybe we'll head to the Wilbur because we do have a show there.
And speaking of that, go buy tickets to the Wilbur, guys.
If I know you and you don't have tickets yet,
yeah.
honey, I don't know why you're not on the website.
There's tickets available for the Wilbur. We want to pack that place with all kinds of amazing, beautiful faces.
We're going to make that show extravagant.
We are. And the comic stylings of Emily Walsh are at that show. So get your butt into it. Go buy tickets. There's a ladybug in this room. I feel like that is good juju. So go buy tickets to the Wilbur, everybody. I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome.
Okay, without further ado, let's get into the Cassidy case.
Let's do this.
Make me cry.
All right. So now we left off. Damien Echols, Jason Baldwin, and Jessie Misskelley were arrested and charged with 3 counts of capital murder for the brutal deaths of Christopher Byers, Michael Moore, and Stephen Branch. 3 8-year-old little Boy Scouts just hanging out on their bikes.
They were just going to Robin Hood Hills.
The worst part about this whole case, and I'm just going to keep on saying it, is that these little boys, I fear that they will never get justice, and it really bums me out.
Yeah.
It really bums me out. So at this point, they have arrested the 3 boys based on Jessie's confession, quote,
if you can
unquote,
even call it that.
which, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back to part 2 and go listen to that, because wowzers.
Bananas.
So at this point, the police are still talking to Aaron Hutchinson. Aaron Hutchinson is Vicky Hutchinson's 8-year-old son.
Right.
Vicky Hutchinson is the one that made up that story about the spot.
Lied under
Was
oath.
working with Jerry Driver. She hasn't lied under oath yet.
Oh.
But she's gonna.
She's
Don't
gonna
worry.
lie.
Spoiler alert.
I think we said that last
we did.
episode.
But she's been working with Jerry Driver and the police, and she was the one who came out later and said, the police and Jerry Driver made me do that. They made me make up this story. I mean,
I believe it.
She did it. So
Well, she was probably
not
scared.
cool, but also not cool.
Not cool
Vicky.
at all.
But yeah, so they she said they threatened her, saying they were going to have her child taken away. So
That's awful.
it all sucks. But her child, Aaron Hutchinson, 8 years old, the same age as the victims,
Yeah.
was friends with the victims.
Yeah.
The police are still pressing him for information.
I'm like, he's 8. What does he have to contribute here?
He's 8 years old. Like, 8 years old. And they're at 8 years old, like, ready? Look at the 8-year-old in your life, if you have one. Now, does that 8-year-old understand the ramifications of a capital murder trial?
No.
Probably not. So if police officers are sitting there telling him, we need information, only you can give us information, Aaron, you can be a hero, you can tell us what this is. Of course,
He's
an
gonna
8-year-old
come up with
little boy
something.
is going to want to please the police.
Right.
And once he sees the police are giving him positive reactions to him telling them things,
He's going to
he
keep going.
starts coming up with things. And he doesn't understand
Right.
that this is the worst thing that he could possibly do. Like, he doesn't get it.
Right.
So, by the way, Aaron, later in life, Vicky, his mother, said that he was fucked up from this.
Oh, no.
And she said the one thing she regrets a lot about this whole thing,
I would hope
obviously.
so.
But she said the biggest thing she regrets is the psychological damage that Aaron, like, the toll it took on him.
Yeah, I mean, of course, he's fucking 8 years old.
He really was. And so he said, he finally told the police. He told the police many different tales. Very, very intricate 8-year-old imagination tales. He then told the police, you know what? I've seen Jason, Damien, and Jessie in the woods, like, doing a spot things.
Oh,
like,
have you?
He's at 8 years old. He's even telling them, like, I saw these men in the woods with them, and they were doing Satan things. They were singing Satan songs.
What does a Satan song sound like?
You know Satan songs.
No.
No, I
No,
don't.
can't say I do.
You know those Satan songs that are just like, hey.
Well, they play
Satan.
backwards.
Oh, sorry. That's what it is. That's what they were doing. They were
Yes.
playing rock music backwards.
Metallica
and singing-
backwards.
Exactly.
Pink Floyd backwards while watching The Wizard of Oz in the woods.
There you go. It was
Boom.
really intense.
It actually sounds like a party.
Well, he was saying he saw this, and then he goes, you know what? I actually saw Jason, Damien, and Jessie murder Christopher Byers, Michael Moore, and Stephen Branch.
Did you? And you're
Yeah.
not more fucked up from
He
that.
totally did.
Okay.
So he said, when I saw them, they were wearing black shirts with dragons on them.
Oh.
Because we all know that the most vital part of a ritualistic killing in the woods in the name of Satan is matching team tees.
Duh.
You can't get that shit done without getting your graphic tees all matching.
So tomorrow we're gonna murder.
Yeah.
Make sure you're wearing the shirt.
No ritualistic murder without team tees.
Okay.
Just saying. Uniform is important.
Check.
So the police were like, cool. This is real evidence.
Keep going. Tell us
We're
more.
going to use this, Aaron. And they were like 100%. And they did. They took this as like real. This is real. They were like,
Interesting.
if you heard anything from them, they were like, well, this little boy saw it. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
Yeah, he definitely
Like,
didn't.
what? So they ended up not using Aaron at the last second because his stories kept changing.
Because he's 8
So
and lying.
Weird. And weirder still. They kept becoming more and more just crazy and improbable. Weird. I
mean,
wonder why.
Seriously.
He said at one point that he, 8-year-old Aaron, had personally dismembered Christopher Byers.
Oh, he said that.
And he said a black man held a gun to his head and made him do it.
Okay, this little boy
Yeah.
definitely sounds like he might have been experiencing.
Oh, some things were going. I mean, I'm not here to like say anything was happening to him, but like,
something was happening to him.
well, something was happening to him at that point for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like for him, that psychologically there was some.
An
shit
8-year-old
going on.
doesn't just come up with that.
So that was fucked up. So they were.
Jesus.
So after that, I think the police were like, "Yeah, I don't think we can use him."
Also, we'd
I
like
don't-
to provide you some counseling.
like perhaps. So remember, speaking of that, that whole thing. Remember when I said, and I think it was the last episode, that people spread a rumor that Christopher Byers' testicles were found in Damien's room in a glass jar,
Oh.
and that John Mark Byers, Christopher Byers' stepfather, actually stated it as fact after hearing it. Literally stated it as fact. And you want to know how I know this? Because in the documentary, he literally says it to the camera, and he says it in disbelief, like, they found my son's testicles in a glass jar in Damien's room. And it had his fingerprints all over it. And he's like, how is he not behind bars? And it's like,
because they didn't
God,
find that.
this man truly believes that they found, like, that's what I'm talking about with these rumors, especially about Damien.
Right.
When it came to Damien, whatever rumors were out there, boom, true. It just nobody questioned it. Always true. I mean, when the father of one of the victims is sitting there saying this rumor, this fantastical rumor as fact,
right?
Like, are you honestly sitting there, John Mark Byers, and thinking that your like poor son's like body parts are in this kid's room,
and he's
that they
just
are
not arrested yet,
and that they're just it's not?
They're like, we
into
still
evidence?
don't have enough evidence.
Like,
like no. That's enough to land you somewhere.
And that's how crazy and this is the hysteria that came with this.
Right.
Is everybody believed that stuff.
Every good detective needs a partner to support them on important cases. Think of a State Farm agent like your sidekick, there to help you along the way in your search for coverage. State Farm can help you choose the coverage you need, whether it's for your home, car, boat, or even RV. With so many options, it's nice knowing you have help finding what fits for you so you can get back to solving all of life's bigger cases. Go to statefarm.com or use the award-winning app to connect with a local agent and get a quote. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
So, June 7th, 1993, the three got public defenders because obviously they
had
not
to
be able to pay for lawyers. So Jason got Paul Ford and Robin Wadley. Damien got Val Price and Scott Davidson. And Jessie got Dan Stidham and Greg Crow. Dan Stidham is a fucking treasure.
He makes me want to cry.
Like, that guy stuck with Jessie until the
whole entire way,
until the
right.
very end. And he went through like tireless efforts to. And what's crazy is Dan Stidham originally went into this thinking Jessie was guilty.
Oh, wow.
He went into it thinking, okay, I have a guilty client here. My only job is to get him a plea deal, is to get him out of, just to make sure we get this less sentence as we can. That's what he was going in here thinking. Then after seeing everything and speaking to Jessie, he was like,
nope.
Oh, wait a second. And he was like, this is not right. And all of a sudden he was like, there's more to this. I'm going to need to do a lot more work. I can't just go for a plea deal. I need to make sure people know he's innocent.
And he doesn't land himself in jail.
Now, one of the things that was really showing him that this was not how it seemed was he said every time he asked Jessie, he asked him several times, please tell me the story again. And Jessie would tell him the story, and it was totally different from the story before that.
Right.
He couldn't repeat the same confession twice.
Because it didn't happen.
If you're lying, it's hard to repeat the same thing twice. If it actually happened, it's easy.
Right.
It's a narrative. You've been there.
It's a memory.
Exactly. Now, Damien read Jessie's confession himself. And after he was arraigned, once he found out that Jessie had confessed,
he was probably like, what the fuck?
He was given this stack of papers and he was told to read it. So he read through it and he said he read the whole thing and he was like, what the fuck? But he says in his book, quote, I've been asked many times if I'm angry with Jessie for accusing me. The answer is no, because it's not Jessie's fault. It's the fault of the weak and lazy, quote, civil servants who abuse the authority placed in their hands by people who trust them.
Yep.
So that shows how, even at that time, he said he wasn't even mad at the time. He was more confused and frustrated.
Right.
And he was like, but everyone knew this wasn't real.
Yeah.
Anyone who looked at that confession was like, what?
It just doesn't make any sense.
No. And we had discussed at length in the last episode how Jessie was not mentally fit to be interrogated in the way that he was, and that his statements were conflicting, flat out wrong, and very much led by the police.
The amount of times that they stopped and put on and then stopped and then put on the recorder.
I think it was something like 8 different times to
right.
get him to the correct time.
And it was what, like
crime even occurred?
It was an 8-hour
yeah, it was. He was interrogated for like 11 hours,
and they only had so much.
They only had like 34 minutes,
right, on the tape. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
It was ridiculous, and no one heard how he was prepped beforehand, what they discussed beforehand,
because they kept stopping that tape.
Well, and it gets crazy. So, and remember, they pretended that they didn't know that he was mentally challenged,
right?
And meanwhile, in the middle of the confession, when they speak about like Chris Byers' genital mutilation, they ask him several times, do you know what a penis is?
Which it's like, why would you ask that?
Like, you definitely know. If you would never ask someone that you thought had an IQ of like a highly functioning person, that you would never ask, do you know what a penis is, to a 17-year-old boy?
Right.
Unless you knew that he was slightly, mentally challenged.
Exactly.
Well, let's add on to this something really shitty.
You told me that this was going to make me sad.
Yeah. So Jessie didn't know in 1994. He did not know who Bill Clinton was.
Oh.
Now, Bill Clinton had been governor of Arkansas.
Right.
And was a huge deal because he was president of the United States at the time.
How did it come out that he didn't know who Bill Clinton was?
Well, it was just a huge deal in Arkansas that the governor of Arkansas had become the president of the United States. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
Everybody knew who Bill Clinton was. Jessie didn't.
Okay.
This doesn't like factor into the case. It's just
it shows that he wasn't of sound mind. He's
17 years old, and he did not know who the president of the United States was when the president of the United States was the governor of his state.
Right.
Like, that should show you where he's sitting. Also, he didn't know what a lawyer did.
Oh.
He thought lawyers were police officers.
Oh my God.
Or like detectives.
This
he
makes
didn't
me
understand.
so sad.
Also, and this one really gets you.
Oh God.
So Dan Stidham said said he was visiting Jessie in prison, because he obviously, when you're someone's lawyer, you're going to visit them all the time to go over things.
Right.
And suddenly, one time when he was visiting him, Jessie said, "Can you tell me who Satin is?"
Oh.
And he was like, "What?" Like, he was like, "What Satin is?" And he was like,
he meant Satan.
And he was like,
Satan?
"Satin is like a fabric? Like, what are you talking about?" And Jessie showed him a pamphlet given to him by some preacher, and it warned against the dangers of Satan.
Right.
Jessie didn't know who Satan was, and he was being touted as a devil-worshipping criminal mastermind.
Right.
He didn't know what Satan was.
Oh my God.
Like, I think he had probably heard the word,
but didn't know.
He couldn't even read it or connect it with anything.
So clearly, like, he's not a devil worshiper.
Who's Satan?
Oh.
Like, hello, everybody.
Right. So
the characters we are going to mention in this, that I just want to say up front, just so because there's a lot of names in here.
Yeah.
Dan Stidham, Jessie's lawyer. John Fogelman is one of the lawyers for the prosecution. Judge David Burnett, who is a flaming asshole. Terry Hobbs, we're not going to mention him really in this.
He's
this
part
part.
4.
We'll mention him in the next part. He's the stepfather of Stephen Branch. And then there's Chief Inspector Gary Gitchell. And there's going to be a couple more along the way, but I'll tell you who they are. So August 4th, 1994 was the pretrial hearing. This is when they all pled not guilty. Judge David Burnett, who was the dick of the century.
Perfect.
And was the one who was on this case, which we'll get into too in part 4, till the end.
Ugh.
Like, held up every appeal, everything. He made sure that no new evidence later in this whole case, he made sure no new evidence that would ever exonerate them was let into the trial.
Which is the most, how is that? That's not legal.
No, it shouldn't be. He also believed that psychologists had no business being part of trials.
Oh.
He did not believe in psychologists. But wait until you do find out what he believes in. And he went into this completely convinced from the jump they were all devil-worshipping heathens who needed to be behind bars. Like, he went into this being like, they're guilty. Let's do this.
Okay.
Like,
I don't know if this is true or not, but as a judge, you're supposed to be impartial, correct?
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
Cool.
You're definitely not.
I was like, maybe someone's
going
to yell at me, but I'm pretty sure from what I've heard, they're supposed to be impartial.
It's definitely ideal that you go in without any preconceived
They won't even
biases,
let the jury be.
But yeah. But this guy, I mean, he didn't come out and
No, but obviously
like it's
you
not
could
like he
tell.
walked out and sat down and put on his robe and was like, well, fuck these devil worshipping dickheads. He was just like,
And he might as well have.
but he might as well have.
And I'm sure the
Because-
jury probably was the same way.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. It's like it's so this this is when Judge Burnett, at this point after like the pretrial hearing,
Yeah.
he severed Jesse's trial from Jason and Damien's.
Okay.
So Jesse was going to have his own trial, and Jason and Damien were going to have a trial together. But he wasn't. So when that happened, they were like, okay, well, let's separate Damien and Jason too.
Right.
He would not allow this. So that meant that anything people said about Damien, which was a lot, as we know, that was going to be said during Jason's trial too. So he wasn't going to be given a fair trial because he was going to be
From the
lumped
start.
in with all of this. And I don't believe that any, like 99% of the things they say about Damien, I don't believe is true. I think
Right.
it's all just him like portraying a spooky kid, like,
And being different.
which, let me be clear, Damien leaned into the spooky goth, everyone's scared of me thing
Right.
a little too much.
Yeah.
But he was 17 years old.
He was a rebel.
And he was thinking, I didn't do this.
It's
They
not
can't pin it
going
on me
to-
if I didn't do it. So I'm just going to
Exactly.
have fun with this. Whatever. I don't give a shit. He was a little asshole at the time, like for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure at this point, Damien Echols would probably be like, yeah, I like didn't give a shit. But that doesn't make him a murderer. Like
No.
that just makes him a cocky little shit. And it's like, but you know, like I think even he would agree that he probably said some things. And actually in interviews later, he was like, there was some things that I'm like, what the fuck? Why did I say
Well, yeah,
that?
but you're 17 years old. I said
Yeah.
crazy shit at 17 years
And
old.
he went through his whole life as the weird poor kid.
Right.
And he created this defense mechanism where he saw I could social distance people by just being spooky and
Right.
scaring the shit out of people, and whatever they would say, I would just say, "Yep, I did it," because it's easier than trying to defend myself or trying to convince people I'm not this person.
And it's
you
just
know?
like, yeah, cool, you're that stupid. Totally,
yeah,
I
you
did
just
that.
go with it. You start going with all the rumors because it's just easier. You're
Right.
like, fuck it. So again, this meant that anything that was said in the trial about Damien was automatically going to be pinned on Jason too, and that's not fair. Now remember, Jason and Damien are 17 years old. They both did not believe that this was really going to end with them going to jail.
Right.
Because they said, in fact, Jason, and I had a clip, I'll have to see if I can find it. There is a clip of him where he says, like, I believe in God. Like, I believe in God. And his whole thing, and he said it later, that this whole thing really shook his faith.
Of course.
Because he said this entire time, the reason we were just kind of like whatever about it, he said, I believed that God would not allow
Something like this
a
to happen.
miscarriage of justice like this. Like my God, the God that they all believed in.
Right.
He was like, everyone in that courtroom was yelling about Satan and all that and saying their God. We all believed in the same God. And he's like, I believed that my God would not allow me to be put behind bars for something I didn't do.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
then when it happened, he was like, whoa. And that's why they were so cavalier, because I
Right.
think they both were just like, whatever. But Jason in particular was like very vocal about like, I believe in God.
Yeah.
Which is crazy since they were portraying him as this like devil worshiper.
Exactly.
It was the like exact opposite. So Damien was held in Monroe County Jail. He was later transferred, but he did not have a good time in there. Damien had a real rough time of prison all the way through.
It's so awful to hear about.
Yeah, especially when you know it's, what most people believe is an innocent man
Right.
being basically tortured. So we mentioned in last episode that his girlfriend Dominique Tier was pregnant,
Which is
with
so
his child.
sad. That poor girl.
Yeah. So on September 9th, Damien's son was born. And he was obviously not allowed to be at the birth.
Right.
He did not hold his son until during his murder trial.
Jesus Christ.
Which is just like, whoa. Now, a couple of months after all of their arrests on November 17th, so at this point, they didn't have a murder weapon. They didn't really have anything except for that bullshit confession. Well, on November 17th, John Fogelman, John Fogelman, he's a very wise and all-knowing wizard of a man.
Is this the judge?
No, this is John Fogelman is the prosecutor.
Got it.
He suddenly was like, you know what? I have a hunch. I have a
Okay.
hunch about something. This hunch was that there was probably something awesome and murder related in the small lake behind where Jason and his mother lived. Just a hunch.
Okay.
You know how you get those hunches every once in a while?
Yeah.
So because hunches are very often legit, the police called all the media to this lake on this hunch.
Uh-huh.
Weird, right?
Yes.
That's putting a lot on that hunch that it's going to pay off for you. And these media that they allocated many resources into hiring a diving team during all of this.
Okay.
They all came to the lake, all the media, all watching. And now the diver dives into the lake because there's a hunch. Something's in there.
Right.
The diver's in the lake for less than 30 minutes, a murky, deep lake, and with no direction of where something could be at all. Wow, he suddenly comes up less than 30 minutes later, and he's like, look at this giant combat knife I found in this murky lake that I had no idea where to look for it. What luck. He's so lucky.
I mean, that doesn't happen
He's
every day.
So lucky. What a hunch, John Fogelman. Good for you. That was really good.
That's so fucked up.
Well, turns out the knife was Jason's old knife. But the reason Fogelman knew it was in the lake, it wasn't just a hunch, everybody.
He put it there?
He knew. Was because Jason's mom had mentioned he had a knife a long time ago, but she threw it in the lake a year before. And she threw it in the lake because he was like being a dick. And she was like, I'm getting rid of your lake, your knife, your lake.
I'm getting rid of your lake, Jason.
I'm drying up.
Sick of your shit.
So something went down, like he got in trouble, and she was like, I'm getting rid of your knife. So she threw it in the lake a year earlier.
Okay.
A year earlier.
Right.
So like, what? And she had mentioned it to John Fogel, like it would have been mentioned it casually.
Right.
Like he once had a knife, but like I threw it away a year ago. It's gone.
Oh,
so
I wish she hadn't said that they threw it in the lake, but she never really thought that anything was going to come of that because she knew that her fucking son didn't do it.
Exactly. And this was a large combat knife, and it had a serrated edge. Now, the ME at the time, Frank Peretti, who was kind of a mess. Like, Frank Peretti is kind of a conundrum because, like, in ways he is a mess, and in other ways he's not a mess. So it's like, he's just difficult. He's a lot. Now, the ME had initially said that a lot of the wounds on the boys were likely caused by a serrated knife.
Okay.
So, of course,
perfect.
This immediately went right. This beautiful hunch that John Fogelman had just paid off.
Yeah.
So, and there's also like a photo of like the diver holding the knife. It just became a whole thing.
Okay.
So, January 26, 1994, Jessie went on trial.
Oh, good.
This is Jessie's trial alone. John Fogelman, that wise wizard, was the prosecutor, and he only had the confession, really,
right,
with Jessie. That was it. That was the centerpiece of the whole thing. Dan Stidham, Jessie's lawyer, tried to have the confession thrown out
because it's insane.
Exactly. So Detective Brian Ridge took the stand to explain the confession. Now, Brian Ridge was in one of the detectives during the confession. He went on the stand and he explained that the before the tape recorded, because he was like, what went on before the tape recorded?
Right.
Like, we don't have any record of that. He said, before we started recording that, Jessie told us of satanic orgies, how they ate dogs and sacrificed animals.
Meanwhile, the poor kid doesn't even know who Satan is.
No, he has no idea who Satan is. And they asked him why they showed, because remember, they showed Jessie a photo of one of the dead children.
Right.
And they said, and so Dan Stidham was like, why did you do that? And they said it was to invoke a response because Jessie would just shut down during questioning, or he would just say the same thing over and over, and we needed him to say something different.
Oh. So you needed him to say that he did it, is what you're saying.
He was telling you his story, and you didn't like it.
Exactly.
So you decided to show him a dead kid to get him upset so that he would say, please stop. And you would say, I'll stop showing you dead kids when you tell me what I want to hear.
Right.
That's what happened.
That's really sad, man.
And he's basically saying this on the fucking stand, and everybody's like, yeah, that's totally fine. That's legit.
Yeah, it's fine.
And it's like, I just want to say to all these people, like, especially the jury, I want to be like, so you would feel like that was okay if it was you in that room and that's what they did? You would feel like that was totally legal and totally legit. You'd be fine.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like, okay. Now, Dan Stidham went over the confession with Gary Gitchell in court, and he pointed out all the inaccuracies. And Gitchell said about these inaccuracies, he said he told a good bit of the truth, even though he got the details completely wrong in some spots.
Oh, okay.
And then when Dan Stidham was like, well, here's all the times when he literally got giant details wrong or said several different things about one thing. And Gary Gitchell said, quote, Jessie simply got confused.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Got confused about the murder that he committed.
No
quote
big
unquote.
deal. No big deal. Now, Dr. William E. Wilkins was a psychologist for the defense, and he has one of the best voices ever, by the way. He said the fact that the crime scene was so clean was due to the fact that someone with, quote, great cunning and intelligence tried to get rid of every bit of evidence, and they did.
Uh-huh.
Does someone with a great bit of cunning and intelligence sound like Jessie Misskelley?
No.
No. Now, this psychologist did not testify. He was not permitted to testify.
Which is dumb.
This was just him while he talked to the defense lawyers. He was like, yeah, by my like assertion of this is somebody with a lot of cunning and intelligence planned this out, went through everything to make sure all the evidence was gone. This does not sound like a 17-year-old kid who
doesn't
reads
sound
at a
like
third grade level.
any 17-year-old kid.
Exactly. So he actually suggested, he was like, maybe you should have the jury like hear how lust killers leave crime scenes.
Right.
Because this was like not at all what that was.
Uh-huh.
So Warren D. Holmes was the defense's expert on police interrogation techniques, and he was allowed to testify.
Okay.
He said on the stand that the types of people who normally falsely confess have low self-confidence, Jessie, low IQ, Jessie, want to solve the immediate issue the most, so they're
Jessie.
literally looking at just what is in front of them,
So
not
that he
any
can
long
go
term.
home with his dad.
Exactly. So they just want to get the police away from them, so they'll say whatever they need to. They are easily led, and they naively assume that they can just straighten it all out later. And that's
So
what it is.
sad.
And Jessie said it later. He's like, I just thought I needed to get them to stop talking to me and to let me leave. And I just figured, like, we'll figure it out later. I'll just tell them I was lying later.
Oh my God.
Like, that's what they believe. And so he pointed out that the leading in the confession and the fact that Jessie was not allowed to narrate it clearly shows that they are telling him, this is what I want you to say.
Now say
And
it.
he's going, okay. They're not saying, Jessie, tell me what happened.
Right.
And then just letting him talk. They're like, okay, so you went into the woods. Now you tell me what you saw when you saw Damien and Jason standing. Like, it's
Right.
all them leading him into it. And he's doing it because he just wants to please them, one. And two, he just wants to get the fuck out of there. And he wants to go back to his dad.
Which is so sad.
It's so sad. And Warren D. Holmes, the defense expert on police interrogation that said all this, he also said the ligature mix-up where he didn't know that
the
they were
rope.
shoelaces. He
Right.
kept saying rope, and then he kept saying brown rope when it was white and black shoelaces.
Right.
He said that to him is the most indicative of a false confession. 'Cause
Right.
He was like,
you don't even know.
there's no way he would have got that wrong. There's just no way.
Right.
And it's like, and he got that wrong several times. He
Right.
could not get that detail right. And that's not just a tiny detail, like, was it, cold or warm out that day?
Right.
It's like, no, this is a big deal. You would have known what the ligature was. So one thing that really bothers me in the trial where, like, because again, this was like one of the first trials that was cameras were allowed in the
Right.
courtroom. So one of the parts, Gitchell is on the stand, and Fogelman asks if there was any other suspect that they spoke to who knew about the genital mutilation and the mutilation to Steve Branch's face.
Right.
When he asks this, when he says the face, he touches the right side of his face to demonstrate. Like, he's like, did they know about the genital mutilation, and did they know about the mutilation to the face? And he puts his hand on his face.
Okay.
Gitchell says, no one else knew. And he says, quote, in fact, you, Mr. Fogelman, touched the wrong side of your face when you said that. It's the left side that was mutilated. And the courtroom, including Fogelman, just laugh.
That's not funny.
Like, they're all part of this.
You're
like,
talking about, like, the mutilation
like-
of an 8-year-old.
It, like, gave me gross vibe. Because it's just, like, it looked like it was like this thing that they had already planned almost. Like it looked like this planned little thing between them where it was like, in fact, Mr. Fogelman, you touched the wrong side of and Fogelman is like, and just touches the other side of his face, and the whole courtroom's like,
Like, that's not funny.
and it's like, what, guys? Are you fucking kidding
You're
me?
talking about an 8-year-old.
And I know that's just like a small thing, but like that
No,
one
that's
thing that I watched,
infuriating.
I was like, gross.
Right.
And it just looked like
Planned.
It looked very planned out, like this planned little like, oh, let's have this little like do
Right.
between each other. So another defense expert on police interrogation was Dr. Richard Offshee. Now, this guy, Judge Burnett, did not want testifying and almost didn't allow it at all. So after a lengthy back and forth with Dan Stidham, trying to explain, so Dan Stidham was just trying, or Stidham, I always say it wrong, Stidham, I think it is.
Oh, okay.
Dan Stidham. Dan Stidham was trying to explain what he was going to testify to, like
Right.
what this expert was going to be testifying to. He was basically saying that he was going to have him testify whether or not he felt that the confession was coerced, which is what his expertise was on.
Right.
Burnett said, quote, I'm going to let him testify, but I'm not about to let him testify that in his opinion, Misskelley is innocent. Don't even try to ask him whether or not he has an opinion whether the confession was true or false, because I'm ruling he cannot do that. And I'm not going to allow him to testify in his opinion. I'm not allowing him to testify in his opinion that these officers illegally exacted or coerced a confession from him either. I'm not going to allow him to testify to that. So what's he going to testify to?
Isn't that the whole fucking point of a trial?
Sure is. So he was eventually allowed to testify after Stidham. I mean, this back and forth, and I got, like, the back and forth is laid out in Mara Leverett's The Devil's Knot, which everybody needs to read. That shit is so in-depth.
Right.
And it has, like, the transcripts and everything. The back and forth that resulted between Stidham and the judge and Fogelman about this one fucking witness and what Dan Stidham was allowed to ask.
Well, and what could the
He's
guy even
insane.
say? Like, what's at that point? It's like, what's the point of having him on the stand?
Well, and that's what it's like every single time that Stidham would ask a question, Fogelman would throw a shit fit and say he can't ask that, and then the judge would be like, "Yep, you can't ask that," and he was like, "Well, what the fuck am I supposed to ask this dude?
right.
Like, why are we even doing?
Why
And
are
at
we even
one
having a
point-
fucking trial?
Literally, at one point, Dan Stidham asked the judge, "Can I write down a question I want to ask him and give it to you, and you can tell me if I can ask him?"
Wow.
So that, like, Fogelman can stop jumping on my ass and, like, this can all stop. Because he would send the jury out, and then they'd talk about it, then bring them back in, and then he'd ask the question, and they'd be like, "Nope, you can't do that," and they'd send the jury back out. Like, it was
Oh
a
my
circus.
God. Right. Exactly.
So he finally allowed him to testify, and this doctor said that the best example of leading and craziness in this confession is the 8 revisitings of the time the crime actually happened.
Yeah.
Because it's like noon. And he says it happened at noon. And then, one of the detectives says, "Oh, okay, so it happened after school."
And that's not noon.
So that's not after school. So they were like, they are suggesting to him, "I think it happened after school, Jessie." And Jesse's like, "Yep, it happened after school." So every time they suggest something, he just goes, "Yep, that's how it is." He never, ever goes against something they suggest.
Exactly.
In that confession. And then they follow up with "the night you were in the woods." After he just said noon, then after school, and then it turns into "the night you were in the woods." And right after that, they say that, Jesse goes with it. He goes, "Yep, that night when I was in the woods, blah, blah, blah."
Right. Because
He
he's
just
like,
goes
cool,
right
I'll
with
say
it.
that because then they'll leave me alone.
And this expert says he never used nighttime before that. It was only when they suggested
fed it to
and
him.
it happened every time. So they said this is just a prime example of getting him to accept this narrative from their suggestion. They keep doing it. This is prime example of a coerced confession. I
Right.
don't see how anybody could not see that. Now, one reason that this expert was stopped from testifying, like in the middle of his testimony,
Yeah.
because he was stopped many times. He was stopped because Stidham literally asked him, quote, "Doctor, is it possible for police interrogation tactics to produce a false confession?" He literally asked him, is it possible, not even in this case,
Like, did this happen?
for any police interrogation tactics in any
And they
setting
wouldn't let him ask that.
to have a false confession be the result. He's just asking that generally, not even for the case, just is that a possibility that can happen
And they wouldn't let him answer?
sometime. Well, the doctor starts to answer, and he says, you know what? He offers up an empirical study, a scientific study in Stanford Law Review about false confessions, where they looked at 350 cases where someone was found guilty and was actually innocent. Mm-hmm. So he starts to say this. He's like, oh, well, actually, in the Stanford Law Review, the judge immediately stops him and says, nope, that's not allowed.
Why?
So Fogelman, like, shits his pants at this question. Like, Fogelman is like, they can't ask that. Like, freaks out. And Burnett said, quote, I'm interpreting this as an attempt to use coercive techniques on the jury to suggest to them that this is a false confession and that there is danger in their considering the confession, and that it suggests to them that they have to be very careful not to make a 350 error, whatever the percentage was.
What?
Exactly. So what he's saying is, I think that you're trying to convince the jury by asking if a false confession ever happens in the history of police interrogations. You're trying to convince the jury that this is false.
Right.
And then you're scaring them by using that scary empirical study from the Stanford Law Review. And they're going to think that they're making the same error that those other 350 cases
Which
made.
is exactly
And I
what
love that he
they're
calls
about
it
to do.
that they need to be very careful not to make a 350 error, whatever the percentage was.
Like, are you educated, sir?
You're killing it, bro. You're killing it.
Cool.
So this is when that's when Dan Steidham is like, can I write down a fucking question and hand it to you? And
He must have wanted to, like,
That
bang
poor
his
man.
head against the wall.
That poor fucking man. He did all he could do, man. He really did.
I don't understand how this happened. It is mind-boggling that
yeah.
this all happened.
He was truly banging his head up against a wall.
And I hope they all get stung by a bee in the butt every day. Every person.
So that it never heals and it's just always sore when they sit.
all over their butt.
All over their butt. So real quick, this is like a little bit of a trigger warning because, I mean, if you're this far in,
This
you've
whole
heard
episode
some
has been
shit,
a trigger.
but just in case. I'm about to talk about rape, and I'm about to be slightly graphic.
Okay.
Skip forward if you don't want to hear it. It'll be pretty quick. I just need to prove a little point. Now, the part that really bothers me about this confession is the rapes that Jessie
Because that didn't happen.
continuously said happened. During the confession, Jessie said the boys were violently raped several times. I mean, he says many times, Damien started screwing them. Jason started screwing them. They asked where, what rapes, anal, oral, whatever. He said both.
Oh.
And he said many times. I mean, it didn't just happen once, according to this quote unquote confession. The thing is, there's no evidence to this. None. No one. No medical examiner saw any evidence of rape.
Right.
No tearing, no nothing. No bruising, nothing. So they brought this in. That they are 8-year-old boys.
Yeah, you would know.
If they were violently raped in the way that Jessie described several times, there would be a lot of evidence to this.
Right.
A lot. And there was none. Several medical examiners agreed. There
Right.
was none.
Right.
So this was brought forward. So they brought this up to Jessie after the trial. They were like, hey, there's no evidence that they were raped.
Why did you say that?
Why would you say that?
Did you say
and
the
Jessie
cops
said,
told them to?
oh yeah, they were gonna rape them, but then they didn't.
Okay.
Does this sound like somebody who was fucking there and is telling the truth?
No.
Half of his story the first time was that they were quote unquote screwing him.
Right.
And then he comes back and he's just like, oh, they were going to do that, but then they didn't. After he's told that there's literally no physical
This is
evidence
so
to that.
sad.
And now the officers all testified that they also never took notes for the time before the recorded confession, and that they couldn't even really remember what he said or discussed during that time in most cases.
You would think a story this jarring, what he would have had to say before, you'd fucking remember.
Yeah, all they could really remember was they were like, yeah, I know he talked about satanic orgies.
Yeah, totally.
And like killing and eating dogs. Like, I know that, but like other than that, I don't know. And we didn't write anything down, and we didn't record anything. That's
and we
fine,
lost
right?
a lie detector test at one point.
It's totally fine.
No.
Yeah. So the prosecution brought out the big guns, and they brought on the stand one Vicky Hutchinson.
Oh, goody.
Now, this is the waitress who, and I'm not saying waitress in a derogatory manner.
I was a fucking waitress.
Just in case anyone, because we did get yelled at by one person. This is just funny, so I had to say.
Yeah,
it.
no, it's
we
hilarious.
got yelled at for referring to Vicky as a waitress,
right?
When her profession was
a waitress,
and Ash was
a waitress for 5 years of my life.
So I'm sorry if this offends anyone, but Vicky Hutchinson, the waitress, took the stand, and she testified about that spot that, you know, the one that she said Jessie and Damien drove her to, and Jessie stayed at while her and Damien left because, she was just so offended by the whole thing.
Meanwhile, Damien couldn't drive.
Nope, couldn't drive, and the whole thing just didn't
And the
happen.
car didn't exist.
And the one that she later admitted she lied like a fucking rug about, and she literally said that she lied about the entire thing, the whole thing, and that the reason she did it was that Jerry Driver and all those detectives told her to do it. And so she went on the stand at a murder trial and lied about this. She told a bullshit story.
What do you think would have happened had she not?
I mean, I think that definitely was a big, I'm sure in the jury's minds, that was like,
huge.
Oh, well, shit. There it is. This woman's saying she went to a satanic orgy with him.
Right.
What else do you need to hear? Like, that's their whole thing.
What do you think the police would have, like, done to her?
I mean, I don't know.
Could they have done anything?
She did have, like, small fraud charges on her record and stuff. They could have
So they
trumped
just
those
blackmailed
up.
her.
Yeah, they definitely blackmailed her,
Right.
for sure. And I think, like, this was perfect because one of the things that really stands out in this case, and to this day, none of them can really, quote on this, there was no motive for this whatsoever.
Right.
They had zero motive. The only motive they
Was
had
Satan.
was Satan and ritualistic homicide. That's it.
Okay.
There was no motive. So without that a spot in that satanic meeting and her being like, yep, I was there, it happened, there's really nothing.
Exactly.
Except for his like bullshit confession, which doesn't make any sense.
Nothing beats tradition, like weekly game nights at Mom's house. And Tostitos, crafted with masa made the traditional way, starting with whole corn kernels, with flavors worth gathering around, like a hint of lime and Mexican street corn, and no artificial colors, flavors, or preservatives. That's the Tostitos way. Bring Tostitos to your next game night, and you'll be winning either way. Tostitos, tradition matters.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
Now, they also had another star witness named William Jones. He ended up not coming to go on the stand because he turned out to be a lying shithead too.
Oh, it's weird how many lying shitheads they got together that week.
So crazy. He was a teenager, and he told his mom that Damien got drunk and bragged to him that he did the crimes.
Oh.
William admitted he was lying right before testifying. And he was like, I just don't want to lie under oath.
I feel like that's bad juju.
So I'll lie everywhere else. I'll lie to the police, to my mom, to everybody else, but like,
Not under
I don't want to
oath.
get in trouble for it. Like, you're
Like-
lying about a kid murdering 3 little children.
That's the thing. I'm like, that doesn't sound like a fun lie.
Yeah. Yep. And Jerry Driver was then put on the stand
Oh, goody.
to say that Jessie, he was like, he was put on there literally just to say that Jessie hung out with Damien and Jason. once or
Meanwhile, they
twice.
really didn't.
No. But he said when he saw them that they were walking around, being spooky,
Doing Satan
wearing
shit.
trench coats, and carrying staffs.
What is a staff?
Like a walking stick.
What?
It's just like
what?
like a goddamn wizard, basically.
Like, okay. They also had cloaks.
Now, just a reminder, no forensic evidence linked Jessie to the crime. There was no motive whatsoever. So Jessie is sitting there thinking, Jesus, this is boring. Can't wait to be done with this and go home.
Can't wait to hang out with my dad.
Literally the whole time.
Oh my god.
There was that trial lasted 8 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was convicted of first-degree murder in the death of Michael Moore and second-degree murder in the deaths of Stephen Branch and Chris Byers after only 1 day of jury deliberation. He was sentenced to life plus 2 20-year sentences.
Oh my god.
He got the first-degree murder charge for Michael Moore because in that confession, he says he chased Michael Moore down and held him there.
Right.
While the other... So he got the first-degree murder for him. And one of the most outspoken, which I understand, so the Byers parents.
Right.
Melissa Byers and John Mark Byers.
Right.
They were one of the ones that spoke the most.
Mm-hmm.
I think Michael Moore's parents were like very quiet, very like chill people. And then Pam Hobbs kind of spoke to, Stevie's mom kind of spoke to the media a lot. Terry Hobbs didn't really say a lot. Wonder why. But the Byers were just, John Mark Byers is a trip.
Yes.
To say the least. And Melissa Byers was an angry, grieving mother.
Yeah.
And it's like, I understand. I get it. Like, I would also be wishing the fucking worst on these kids because, again, they're being told by the police, like, all this shit that makes it seem like, yeah, they did it.
Right.
And if you think these 3 fuckers murdered your 8-year-old,
of course you're going to say.
Of course you're going to want to tell them that you hope they rot in hell and, like, terrible things happen to them. So I get it. But I'm just going to play the clip of what Melissa said after Jessie was sentenced.
Okay.
This doesn't change anything.
Our son was still
dead.
Our son
And he
was
was
still
tortured to death by 3 murdering bastards on a ditch bank. He was 8 years old. And guilty is guilty. And I hope the little sucker, when he hits Cummins, they get his ass right off the bat. Because he deserves to be tortured and punished for the rest of his life for murdering 3 8-year-old children.
So yeah, she was that's a grieving mother.
Yeah.
That's an angry, grieving mother, and I totally get it.
I would have said the same exact thing.
I think any parent can understand that, or anybody who loves any child in their life can understand that. Again, they were the ones that spoke the most to the media. And after he was sentenced to life in prison, she had one more thing to say, and it's pretty colorful. And I just think we should share it.
Okay.
Prison's not a safe place. Jessie, sweetie, I'm gonna mail him a skirt.
Wowzers.
Big wolf. Big
so,
wolf.
If you think this dude murdered your child, I'd be mailing him a skirt as well. So I get it.
Yeah.
So I just thought that would, help paint a picture here. So now Jessie has been sentenced, convicted, sentenced. 1 down. There's 2 more to go now. So Fogelman and the other prosecutor, Davis, I think his name is Brent Davis. He was a real dick.
Oh, good. Another one. We need all of them.
Brent Davis and John Fogelman just have just those faces that
resting douche face.
You just want to be like, shut up.
Resting douche face.
Yeah, it really is. It's just like, God. So Fogelman and Davis were now trying to convince Jessie to testify against Damien and Jason.
Okay.
Now, they're saying to him, sure, you've been sentenced to life in prison, but if you testify against them, we'll lessen your sentence.
Probably not.
Because now they're like, cool, we manipulated him into confessing.
Right.
Bet we can manipulate him into testifying now. And they said, we'll remove the life sentence. We'll give you a way lesser sentence. They told him Damien and Jason would most likely get off scot-free without his testimony against them.
Okay.
Because they were like, because they basically were like, we don't have any evidence. So if you don't testify against them, they're going to get off. And then they said, when they're released, they're probably going to find your girlfriend, Susie.
Oh my God.
And they were like, and do you want to be responsible for that?
How do they even say that to him?
And poor Jessie
Was like, no, I
is
don't.
like, well, shit. Now, side note, in Paradise Lost, there is a conversation when Jessie is in prison between him and his girlfriend Susie.
They love each other so much.
It's the most, I mean, it's just one of those conversations that you're like, can we make this stop now? Because Jessie is telling her about a dream he had where they just had sex everywhere.
Oh.
And he keeps going, it freaked me out.
He's like, it was awful.
And the camera is just fixed on Susie. Poor Susie is sitting there turning bright red, being like, oh, okay, this is fun.
She's like, we're on camera. Let's talk about anything
She's
else.
like, this is a documentary. And you feel like you're like, I shouldn't be watching this.
Yeah.
These are 17-year-olds.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch this.
That's wrong.
And it's just, so when they said that about Susie, I was like, poor Susie.
Oh,
I
God.
was like, God damn it.
I bet you Susie moved out of town.
I bet she did. She seems sweet.
Oh.
Sweet Susie.
Oh.
So now this is when, so obviously I'm sure in his head, Jessie, I'm sure the first thing you're thinking is like, yeah, I want a lesser sentence.
Right.
But Jessie's mother,
Oh,
who was
good.
not his birth mother, but the mother who in the documentary you see her, she like raised him
I
from a
love
baby,
her.
and she seemed really sweet.
She
And
does.
She was like, she like really loved him,
Mhm.
and he really loved her.
Mhm.
He called her his mother.
Oh.
She said, I'm gonna be in that courtroom, and if you lie under oath,
I'll
I'm gonna
know.
know it, and you're gonna be doing it in front of me, and like you say you respect me. Would you do that in front of me?
Oh, she was so smart. That's a smart tactic.
And also, his father said, if you lie under oath, then you're going to have to live with that forever.
Right.
And then he said, but if you tell the truth, then someday your name is going to be cleared because of your honesty.
Right.
And he was like, so they both were like, so just chew on that.
Uh-huh.
Like, we're not telling you what to do. We're just saying we
That
don't
was
know.
smart.
So they both said that. And so Jessie decided the day before their trials against testifying against
Good.
Damien and Jason because he said, I would be lying if I did.
Wow.
These kids, when it comes down to it, a lot of
They
like,
took care of each other.
Yeah. It's like they weirdly, I know Jessie confessed and put them into this. I'm sure there's people that are like, what the fuck?
But let's look at
We have to
how
look at
that
everything
happened.
that happened. And it's like, in the end, Jessie did not put the nail in the coffin when he could have.
Right.
He could have just kept going with this and been like, yep.
Right.
But in the end, he was like, nope, I'd be lying. So the DA also tried to get Jason to testify against Damien.
And they were brothers.
They were brothers. And they were basically saying, you can have a lesser sentence, Jason, if you just testify against him. But it's in Jason. So in Jesse's supposed confession, he painted Jason as a monster.
Yeah.
Who murdered these boys just like Damien did.
Right.
He did not paint him as like Jason was sitting by and
bystander.
didn't do a lot. So if they really believed that confession, would they be offering to give Jason 10 years in prison only?
Nope.
They would not be doing that.
Nope.
They first offered him something like 40 years.
Holy shit.
And he was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then they were like, Jason, you can have 10. We'll knock it down to 10 if you just testify against him.
Wow, that's bananas.
Again, if they believe that confession, they would be letting a fucking monster out on the
evil
streets.
person.
Well, Jason, again, even with the 10 years, he said no because he said it's a lie. And even his own lawyers begged him to take that deal. And he was like, no, I won't lie.
Good for him.
So much integrity like flying around
Yeah.
here. It's crazy. So all they had in Fogelman, so all these the prosecution had, and Fogelman sits and goes through this in the HBO doc. And there's also in Devil's Knot, I'm just going to read you what he says. They did not have a lot on these boys.
No, of course they
especially
didn't.
I mean, they didn't have anything on either one of them. But he lays it out. He says, if Jesse's confession is excluded, we don't have much. Which to me, I'm like, doesn't that tell you that there's really no case here?
Right.
So basically what they had was 3 fibers. Now, he said this was fiber evidence, but basically what it was like a green fiber and a red fiber found on the boys. And they were like they could be a match to clothing found in either one of the boys.
Because they both had green and red shirts.
Exactly. It was like, and it was like things like from like a robe and stuff, but it could be from any robe.
Right.
Like the fiber evidence is not, it wasn't matched down to the garment.
Right.
It was matched down to like a garment that
Okay.
could be that garment. So fiber evidence, that was not strong at all. That was like nothing. There was also somebody who said that they saw Damien and Domini on the service road outside of Robin Hood Hills. But the problem with that was
Domini wasn't there.
That was putting Domini on the scene when the confession didn't.
Right.
And it was also not including Jason.
Right.
So that didn't work. And they also had statements by 2 teenage girls, or actually it ended up being a few teenage girls at a softball game, who all said that they heard Damien confess.
Uh-huh.
But we're going to get to that in a minute, how bonkers that is. And then they also had, and we'll get into this too, a statement from a guy who was in prison with Jason for a couple of months when he was being held before the trial, who said that he confessed to him that he did it.
Okay.
But that is going to be pulled apart as well. So they don't have, all they have is people saying, I heard them say they did it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they have.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, let's see, so going back to the fiber evidence, what it's called is microscopically similar, not a match.
Okay.
So that's not a good thing at all. And then they also had that knife that was found in the lake that didn't match anything.
The hunch
didn't
knife.
make any sense. But okay. So Dr. Frank Peretti, the medical examiner, like I said before, he had already said that there was no evidence of sexual assault at all. He had said that in Jessie's trial.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the defense asked Judge Burnett to rule that the prosecution could not say the boys were sodomized or sexually assaulted in Jason and Damien's trial because the evidence had suggested that they were not.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, they shouldn't be allowed to even imply that they were because they weren't. The evidence says they weren't.
Right.
And also, a huge emotional weight comes along with sexual assault of a child.
Yup.
So it shouldn't even be mentioned. It shouldn't be implied in any way. And there needs to be a ruling that says that.
Right.
Well,
There wasn't.
what did Judge Burnett do? What did he do? What do you think he did?
Not the right thing.
He allowed the prosecution to claim that they were sodomized.
But they weren't.
Yep. And there were several medical examiners who said, no, they were not. But he let them mention it, imply it, put it out there.
But they couldn't mention a study that happened.
But they couldn't mention something in the Stanford Law Review.
Okay.
Couldn't do
That
that.
seems legit.
So February 28th, 1994, Damien and Jason's trial begin.
Oh, no.
The assistant medical examiner, Dr. Frank Peretti, who we have mentioned, and I mentioned that he's like a kind of good and kind of not good at all.
Mm-hmm.
So Frank Peretti is the medical examiner in Arkansas, or he was. He was not impartial because the ME in Arkansas at the time actually was basically working for the prosecution.
Oh.
So it was just not an impartial. And everywhere else in the country, it's usually a very impartial, I don't have a horse in this race position.
Right.
But not for this. Also, at the time, he was not board certified. He had actually failed his boards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's
So,
helpful.
He is now, if you check on him, but at the time he was not.
Perfect.
He testified about scratch marks found all over the boys' bodies because there was a lot of scratch marks.
Oh.
And he said that they were the result of a serrated knife being dragged repeatedly down their bodies to torture them.
That would just make scratch marks.
But not actually like breaking skin, just scratching.
I doubt that.
Which I'm like, I really don't think that makes sense. It didn't. And he also said that they were hit with a serrated blade over and over to inflict injuries that were seen.
Okay.
Now, he cited a book called Forensic Pathology written by Dr. Vincent DeMeo for where he came up with most of his assertions for this.
Yeah.
Now, keep this thing in mind because we're going to talk about this at the end of this episode a little bit and also in next episode.
The book?
Yeah, and Dr. Vincent DeMeo.
Okay.
Who does not agree with that assertion.
Oh.
So he put this all out there. So now this is lining up with the serrated knife found in the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying, "Whoa, look at this. It's the same thing." Now, in 2009, just skipping ahead really quick, Dr. Michael Baden, who I've mentioned before, he's amazing. He's a top forensic pathologist. He's going to be at CrimeCon, everybody. I hope CrimeCon.
I was going to say, if it's not canceled.
So in 2009, Dr. Michael Baden was brought in to reassess these autopsy findings for Jason and Jessie's retrial. And he said the autopsy findings looked like they were trying to fit the satanic cult prosecution mold.
Oh, weird. Probably because they were.
And he said, quote, "I think unfortunately that quick assumption of a satanic cult colored the autopsy interpretations and police investigations wrongly."
Yeah.
So he came out in 2009 was like, no. That was not it at all. Boom. So he's not the only one who disputed these autopsy results, but we're going to get to that after.
Okay.
So at the time, this is what Dr. Frank Peretti is saying.
Okay.
So then they brought in Michael Roy Carson. He was a 16-year-old prisoner. This is the kid I was talking about that was in the juvenile prison where Jason was being held before trial.
Okay.
Michael Roy Carson, he was in there with Jason in August 1993. That's when they shared this time together. He had a long rap sheet. He did a ton of acid and plenty of other drugs. I'm not saying anything about like acid and do what you do, whatever you want to do, but like just putting that out there.
Yeah.
And he had a long rap sheet. He said on the stand, they brought him in because he said on the stand that Jason bragged to him about the murders. He said this happened 5 months earlier. He said that Jason told him, quote, now this is gross and graphic, just to put that out there. He said that Jason said, quote, he sucked the blood from the penis and the scrotum and put the balls in his mouth.
Oh.
Yeah. This was only revealed because he was having his own legal problems and suddenly decided to reveal this to help himself out.
Right.
Because they were like, why did it take you 5 months to do this? And he's like, oh, I don't know. Meanwhile, he has legal shit that's going on. And they were like, oh, we'll help you out if you just testify. Now, when they asked him why it took 5 months, he said that he had seen the grieving families crying on TV. They were so upset. And he said, quote, I have a soft heart. I just couldn't take it.
Oh, okay. Is that how you landed yourself in prison?
He later recanted.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yep. He said he heard those things, not from Jason, but from a counselor in the prison who was just spreading a rumor.
Perfect.
And he decided he heard that and was like, oh, that's gross and weird. And then he found out that, this is going on trial.
And I'd love to lessen my sentence.
Legal issues and they're coming up. And he's like, well, shit. I can pretend that he said it to me.
Oh my God. The amount of fucking shit bags in this case.
Unbelievable.
Straight up shit bags.
And it's also, in the beginning, it was like the $35,000 reward that was for information about this case.
Right.
That drew in a lot of people because this is a lot of poor people that are looking. That $35,000, especially at the time, was huge.
Do you know if anybody ended up getting $35,000?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No. So Fogelman asked Detective Brian Ridge what books he found Damien to be reading when he was interviewed the many times that they interviewed him before they arrested.
Hold up. Can you imagine if your library was taken into account?
No.
You would be guilty as charged.
That's literally all I could think about while reading. Do you know?
If that was solely what they used to convict you, I would have to visit you in jail daily.
There's so many things in this case that I was like, well, shit.
You're like, I have that same book.
I would have 100% been in these shoes.
If they looked at even my room, they'd be like, she didn't do it.
Yeah, they'd be like, no, she's
They'd be like,
good.
it's too bright and happy in here.
But if they looked at my shit,
you'd be fucked.
We'd be in trouble. And especially books. Like when I got to this, when Fogelman starts asking what books Damien read, like that has any bearing on a murder trial?
Because
I was like,
Satan.
oh shit, don't look at mine. Like, oh my. And basically Brian Ridge said when we went to his trailer and saw in his, his room, he was reading Stephen King books and stuff by Anton LaVey. And he said he thought it was strange, in his opinion, that he read that. Stephen King
is not,
factored into Damien's fate.
I almost just said, like, it's not strange, but then I was like, well, he is.
But it's like, very normal, like horror books.
Right.
Like lots of people.
We all
read
went to
Stephen
see
King.
it in theaters, okay?
Like, Stephen King rules. Let's
Right.
be real. But that if the fact that his library is brought into this is blowing my mind. Now, Judge Burnett said it didn't matter that information being introduced into this trial was obtained. Remember when they were they basically cornered minors in front of Jason's home without a lawyer or their parents present?
Yep.
Judge Burnett said it didn't matter that that's how it was obtained.
It's just the fact that it was obtained.
All of it was fine and admissible, even though it was obtained that way, which is illegal.
Right.
But that's fine. And then, so he said, that's all fine. That's all well and good. That's like the way they obtained it is not bad. But he said information like what he read and what he had known about the case from the media, that's fine too. We want to hear about his books. We want to hear about what he knew about the case from the media. This is all going to factor into it.
Oh, okay. That
So
sounds
it's
like
like-
a fair trial to me.
So it's like what?
Doesn't make any sense.
Now, next, the prosecution brought Dr. Dale W. Griffiths on as an expert on the occult. This guy is bananas. Bananas. He was brought into this mess by Jerry fucking Driver.
Shocking.
Yeah. When asked about Satanists, he said that he personally witnessed them wearing, quote, black fingernails, having their hair painted black, wearing black t-shirts. Sometimes they will tattoo themselves.
Sometimes they will tattoo themselves.
Sometimes.
Okay.
He said the fact that it was, so he said, the fact that the killings occurred near the Festival of Beltane, which is on May 1st, meant it was probably satanic.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Beltane is like a Scottish festival, and it hails the return of summer, the fertility of the land, and the protection of all living things from troubling forces.
Oh. So this would not have happened.
But yeah, totally. Also, Beltane's on May 1st, and the murders happened several days after that.
Okay.
So that doesn't really make sense. Like, were they just like, whoops, we missed Beltane. Let's go murder some kids.
And also,
like,
I don't think
what?
you'd murder anybody on Beltane.
Don't think so.
You might just like plant a tree.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. Now, here's an exchange between the defense and Griffiths, okay? Or no, excuse me, not the defense. The prosecution and Griffiths. So they said, okay, now is 8 a factor? Because they were 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is a witch's number? What's the significance of 8?
8 is a witch's number?
Well, Griffiths says, okay, in Crowley's work, he discusses that sex before 8 or you lose the magical power. So they say sex before 8 or lose the magical power. Okay, so that if the victims were all 8 years old, then that wouldn't be sex before 8, correct?
Uh-huh.
And Griffiths says, I said, say 8? I'm sorry, not 9. 8 or before. 8 is a witch's number.
What?
Yep.
What is that answer?
So basically what he's saying is, so they were like, well, wait, if they were 8 years old and it's sex before 8,
It didn't work out.
then that wouldn't work and it would not make any sense. And he's like, oh, you know what? Did I say 8?
I meant 9.
I meant 9.
Nothing beats tradition, like weekly game nights at Mom's house. And Tostitos, crafted with masa made the traditional way, starting with whole corn kernels, with flavors worth gathering around, like a hint of lime and Mexican street corn, and no artificial colors, flavors, or preservatives. That's the Tostitos way. Bring Tostitos to your next game night, and you'll be winning either way. Tostitos, tradition matters.
Hi, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. Are you looking for a beach read this summer? May I suggest your big wireless bill? It's got suspense, mystery, a slightly flat, emotional arc, and a shocking twist where you realize you've been overpaying the entire time. Fortunately, though, Mint's story is better. Every plan, $15 a month. Even unlimited. That's it. Happy ending. Zero tears. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
They're younger. So 8 is okay.
Right. AKA, I forgot how old the victims were.
And I totally forgot any of this, and it didn't line up with the narrative. So now it does. Now I made it.
Okay.
Now, 8 is a witch's number was cited by the Arkansas State Supreme Court in upholding this verdict.
Oh.
Yes. Yep.
That long pause was my face dropping.
Sure was. Now, Ford asked him about his education. Ford is one of the defense attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
He asked him about his education.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, well, you're an occult expert and you're a doctor. So you're
Right.
a PhD. How did you get that?
Right.
And he said he had a PhD from Columbia Pacific University. It was a mail order college degree.
No.
He called, Ford asks him, like, calls him out about it. He's like, you have a mail order college fucking PhD.
Right. I didn't even know that was an option.
It sure is.
I would have done that.
And Griffiths finally admitted that he took 0 classes to gain his PhD. In case you didn't hear that, 0
So
classes.
he has a PhD.
With 0 classes.
How much do you think he paid for that?
I have no idea. This college, quote unquote, was also closed by court order in 2000.
What?
Yeah. Because it's just one of those. And it's funny because Ford holds up the mail order thing and is like, did you get one of these in the mail? Like, can you just fill it out?
Right.
And that's when you
and
get
he's
your...
like, yes.
And he's like, and that's when he's like, and he keeps going. He goes, how many classes did you take? And he was like, well, I already said that. And then he's like, no, how many classes? And he has to say, how many classes did you take? Like 6 times. And finally he goes, none. I took none.
Oh, and that was
and you're like,
that
motherfucker.
affected the jury.
Well, and then they're like, hey, Judge Burnett, how come he's an expert witness, but he literally does not have a fucking, like, he has a mail order?
He might as well be like a random dude that they pulled off the street that morning.
It might as well just be like, I really like pickles because I think they taste good. I am an expert on pickles.
Right.
Like, what?
Shoot.
So they're like, Judge Burnett, he's not an expert because he has a mail order PhD. Can we just all agree on that? And Judge Burnett was like, you can be an expert just from life.
No, he didn't say that. He said that?
He totally did.
From life?
Now, Judge Burnett he denied a polygraph expert to testify
But
because
not
he would
an occult expert with
he
a
would have
mail-order
contradicted the results that said that they were guilty.
Right.
And he also wouldn't let a false confessions expert in, and he also doesn't believe psychologists have any business on there. But this occult expert who did a mail order PhD and just has life experience, man. He should be allowed.
Wow, that's a judge, huh?
Like, totally.
Okay.
But he also thought it was pretty pertinent to talk about the fact that the murders occurred on a full moon.
Oh. The judge thought that?
The judge wanted to mention. He was like, now, it was a full moon that night. So let's get this straight. Psychologists, no. False confessions expert, no. Polygraph expert,
No way.
No. Let's talk about the lunar phases, though. That definitely has a bearing on this.
Okay.
This is a fucking capital murder trial of 3 8-year-olds.
Well, the full moon makes everybody act a little zany.
Like, are you kidding me right now?
He wasn't.
I wish. So this is when Damien's stuff was, like, just torn apart.
Right.
They started talking about how he had a book of shadows.
Same.
His music tastes were like crazy, and he had animal skulls, and it was all bullshit.
Okay.
So this is when, and again, none of these things have any bearing on murdered children.
This
None
is like
of it.
how you like to decorate your home.
This is nothing. This is just straight up like goth kid. This is crazy. So Burnett literally asked out loud during the trial what the occult was. He didn't know what the occult was.
Who asked that?
Judge Burnett.
The judge.
Yeah.
Okay.
He said, quote, I don't know what an occult is. It sounds like something bad, but I'm not sure what it is.
Oh my God, sweetie child.
So this is when Price asks if they are planning to now use occult killing as the motive. And Fogelman says, quote, we have not made a final firm decision, but at this point, I would say yes.
Okay.
So then Burnett asked if he was going to link Jason with this occult motive. And Fogelman said, because he was like, okay, we can definitely, like, I get Jason, or I get Damien.
Uh-huh.
So you're going to link Jason in with this too, just so I'm clear.
Mm-hmm.
And Fogelman said, quote, "Your Honor, that is something that will have to be talked about with the expert. It is my understanding that part of the involvement deals with the obsession with heavy metal music, change in forms of dress, wearing all black, and I believe that proof would show that Jason had 15 black t-shirts with the heavy metal thing. And he had some kind of animal, either claws or teeth, I think they said they were claws, in his possession."
What?
So...
He has 15 black shirts, so he's a murderer.
Yup.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, call me a fucking murderer then.
Well,
Because I probably got double that.
Well, and the judge was like, are you seriously letting black... The defense was like, are you seriously letting black t-shirts be the reason to convict him? Like, are we really pretending that that's okay? And the judge was like, yeah, totally. Yep.
Oh my god. This is fucked.
Like, what? So this is when the softball girls are brought in.
Okay.
Remember I mentioned before, a few teenage girls were like, I totally heard Damien talk about murdering those boys. So they were like, cool,
like,
cool, cool,
Damien
you
was
need to
at a
come in.
fucking softball game.
Well, and so this is a very convoluted chain of events. So here's what it is. Jenny Deacon said Rachel Myers had overheard Damien confess at the softball game.
Okay.
Rachel Myers said she overheard this from Shelley Wolf.
Okay.
Shelley Wolf said she heard this from Shannon Bowles.
Okay.
Shannon Bowles said she heard this from Michelle Carter.
Okay.
Michelle Carter said she heard this from Shannon Bowles.
Oh, so
we
we have a
little
circle.
whoops.
Also, Michelle Carter. That's scary.
I know, that's fun. Katie LaFoy said she heard Damien confess this at the softball game on the 1st of June. And she said also with her who heard this was Jody Medford. Jody Medford said she heard him confess during the week of May 24th.
Okay.
And in her June 7th, 1993 statement, she said her sister Jackie Medford and another girl, Christy Van Vickle, were there. But then when she testified, she said Jackie and Christy were not there.
Oh.
Jackie Medford said she was with Jody Medford and Christy Van Vickle when she heard him confess.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica Medford said she overheard Katie Hendricks ask Damien if he killed the kids.
Uh-huh.
And then Christy Van Vickle said she was with Jackie Medford and heard him confess.
All these girls sound like basic bitches.
So, to me...
If you're gonna spill the tea, spill the fucking tea.
This sounds rock solid, right?
No.
Rock
No.
solid.
It sounds like you were passing a note and it got...
My-
this is like a really bad game of telephone.
My favorite is when it goes through like 6 of them and then loops right back around. And you're
It's
like, wait.
no, it was Shelley.
But this one said she heard it from that one, and then you said you heard it from the first one who said that she heard it from you. So
I heard that my cousin heard, that my sister heard,
Yeah.
that my sister heard from my cousin that this happened.
And then it turns into, well, then this girl asked him, and he said he did. But then the other one says, no, I heard him say it. It's very rock solid.
That's something, all right.
Very rock solid. Now, here's when the defense decided to put Damien on the stand.
Oh, bad choice.
And I guess they figured, he was intelligent, he was very articulate, and that they could show he was, just like
kid.
a cocky kid, and they could be like, look, see, this is not a murderer. But it like backfired in like a major way.
Yeah.
So the thing that they really harped on him for was they used a code. So they used this coded cipher that Damien had done in prison. And it was him like practicing using the cipher symbols because he was bored in prison.
Uh-huh.
He had written out like in symbols Jason's name, his name, Dominie's name, just like people he knew. And he also wrote out Aleister Crowley's name. And Aleister Crowley, I'm sure a lot of people listening know, he's like a famous occultist.
Okay.
Wrote a ton of books. He's like a occult magician. He's very controversial. So
Probably wasn't the best time to be writing his name down.
Of course not. And they of course asked about Aleister Crowley, and Damien said he hadn't read any of his stuff, but then he added, given the chance, he would.
Oh.
So he was just being truthful. He was like, I
You're
know
not
I haven't
supposed
had
to
the
lie.
chance to read it, but I would if I could.
Yeah.
So then they asked him about Wicca.
Mm-hmm.
And he told them what it was, and he said it in a very thoughtful way. He said, quote, "It acknowledges a goddess in a higher regard as a god. because people have always said we're all God's children and men cannot have children. It's basically a close involvement with nature.
Okay.
Sounds nice.
It does.
But then they made it like, oh, so you're a witch. And then they went into this journal he had, and the journal had like pentagrams on it and, you know, just random symbols that he was drawing on it. Like, I doodled weird shit all over my stuff too.
Right.
So they asked him about it, and he said, this right here is like my home journal. I had one for school and one for home. So then they said, I notice on the inside of the front cover there appears to be a couple quotes there. Could you read each of these to the jury and tell them where they came from?
Oh, no.
So he says, he quotes, life is but a walking shadow. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. That's from A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. Which are like, damn, little Arkansas boy. Like, poor Arkansas boy is like quoting William Shakespeare. Like, good for him. And then he quotes, pure black, looking clear, my work is soon done here. Try getting back from me that which used to be. And he says, that is off a Metallica tape called Injustice for All. It talks about how warped the court systems are, stuff like that.
Oh, shit.
And when he says that in the video, he's like, and he kind of like looks up at the judge.
This is really bad timing.
Like, his eyes just kind of like flit up at him like, well, fuck.
He's like, sorry, sir.
Sorry. And he says the other one is from The Twilight Zone. Quote, I've kicked open a lot of doors in my time, and I'm willing to wait for this one to open. And when it does, I'll be waiting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All pretty chill quotes.
So then they say on the back of it, on the back in the inside portion, the rest of the writings are in here. Did you write all the items in here? And he says, no, this one right here is lyrics to a tape. Me and Jason, every time one of us would get a tape that the other one didn't have, we would make copies of it for each other and copy the lyrics down too.
Oh, that's so cute.
And they say, all right. And he says, and that's what this is from. So they say, what's the name of this particular song? And he says, Fade to Black. And they ask, and what rock group does that song? And he says, Metallica. And they say, did you like Metallica music? And he says, yes. And they said, and did you listen to that quite a bit? And he says, yes.
Okay.
Now again, how fucking pertinent is this to a fucking murder?
Right.
I don't understand.
Right.
So then another thing that they asked him that was really interesting was they said, okay, also there's as part of the investigation, the West Memphis Police Department did a search warrant on the Crittenden County Library. And they had, the search warrant indicates that there was a book on witchcraft by Cotton Mather. On witchcraft. Is that a book that you had checked out? And he says, yes, I checked that out. And they say, and what was the reason that you checked that book out? And he says, just to read it. Most people who were looking at the cover, they would think that it was a witchcraft book, but it was really an anti-witchcraft book that was wrote by a Puritan minister. It was on different ways that during the Salem persecution era, they used to find ways to torture people or just keep them locked up until they would finally say, yeah, I'm a witch and all this, and then they would kill them.
Wow. Ironic
This
as
is
fuck.
on the stand.
Right.
And so they say, all right. In addition, they also, the West Memphis Police Department seized a book on magic. Do you remember checking out a book on magic in the past? And he says, if it's the one I'm thinking about, yes. And they say, what type of magic was that about? Or do you recall that? And he says, that was about everything in the history of magic, from like all religions, really like Hinduism and Buddhism, some things from Christianity, like exorcisms, things like that. And they say, and did you find that interesting to read? And he says, yes. So this was all, again, they're being like, so did you like reading about magic, you motherfucking witch? And he's just like, and meanwhile, he's sitting here being like, yeah, it was like this one was written by a Puritan minister, and it was like going into the history of the persecution of witches. It's like, this fucking kid is like
really
educating
smart.
himself. And then he's talking about how he's reading a book about like Hinduism and Buddhism and Christianity and like just reading into all these religions. And they're like, so you're a fucking witch though? And he's like, what the
He's
fuck?
like, nah, not yet.
Like, are you kidding me right now? So one of the things that the jurors did was they wrote out pro and con lists for each witness and defendant.
Every juror.
All of them were, that's how they they just went through the deliberations. On Damien's, they had written in huge letters under a bunch of pros and cons, mostly cons. They wrote in big capital letters, "You are what you think about." So they were literally saying, he thinks about magic, he thinks about dark shit, he's a dark shit. Like, they were literally, they were saying, whatever's in your brain, you are that.
I
That
don't
is
think so.
the most dangerous way of thinking ever.
Right.
And they used it to convict him.
Right.
That he thinks dark thoughts, so he did it.
Well, and also, those aren't dark thoughts. He's just educating himself on himself on different religions.
Well, and he also had like angsty poems and stuff that were like,
you didn't
every
at
kid has
17?
done that. And it's like, but they're literally saying, you're into witchcraft, you must be a killer.
Okay.
That's
no,
how it is.
wrong.
And it's like, nope. And it's that shows to me, seeing that, and I saw that in the Devil's Knot book. That's where I saw the like big letters, "You are what you think. You
That
are
is
what you
so
think
scary.
about." That to me stood out the most because it was like, whoa,
Right.
That
That's how
is
you think?
dangerous as fuck. So the jury deliberated for 4.5 hours.
Wow, that's not long at all.
Nope. And Friday, March 18th, 1994, Jason and Damien were found guilty of capital murder.
Oh my God. Did Jason ever get a chance to take the stand?
No, he did not take the stand.
Oh.
They didn't want him to, I don't think, because they didn't think it was a good idea for Damien to, but they did anyway.
Oh.
So then it took 2 hours and 20 minutes to decide that Jason would spend life in prison and Damien would be put to death by lethal injection.
Wow.
2 hours and 20 minutes.
And you have to look at that too and say, why would they not get the same? Why would they both not get capital punishment if they both had equal involvement?
Exactly.
Because Damien looked a little weirder
Yep.
and went on stand, and to them, they took his books as weird.
That's the thing.
That's
'cause
why he
it's
was
like,
sentenced to death.
if we're going with Jesse's confession,
They
Jason
both
and
did the
Damien
exact
were
same things.
equally as evil.
Right.
If we're going off of that confession,
Which is what they were going
that's
on.
That's why it makes sense that they knew that confession was bullshit.
Right.
They just wanted Damien dead. That's what they wanted.
Which is fucked up.
Well, and the saddest thing, and I tried to find a clip of this, but I cannot find the clip for the life of me. If I can, I'll like post it. When the judge asks during the sentencing, "Do either of you have any legal reason to show the court or give the court as to why the sentence should not be imposed?" Jason quietly says, "Because I'm innocent."
Oh.
And then he says, so the judge says, "Pardon?" And he says, "Because I'm innocent."
Right.
And the judge replies, "Well, the jury has heard the evidence and concluded otherwise." And
What
then
a
just
fucking
moves on.
douchebag.
Now,
That's so sad because he must have felt.
yeah.
I can't even imagine that feeling.
Yeah, I can't even fathom that. Now, what didn't get brought into this at all, and you may remember from the first part, was originally, remember when the boys went missing? There was a Bojangles restaurant.
Yep.
And a random, like, bleeding black man came in, and he was all frazzled, and he left blood everywhere. Well, the police did get scrapings of that blood.
Right.
They never tested it.
Right.
And it never got brought into this trial. It never got asked about. And what happened was they asked Brian Ridge what happened with those, like, were they sent to the
Scrapings.
crime lab to be analyzed? And Brian Ridge said they were never sent. And he says, why were they never sent? And he goes, or he says they were never sent. And he goes, that's correct. And he goes, where are the blood samples at this time? And Brian Ridge says, I don't know, sir. They're lost.
You lost blood
And
samples?
they say they're lost.
How
And
do you
he
lose a
says,
fucking blood sample?
yes, sir. So they had blood that they had scraped off that wall from
On
a
the same
bleeding
night.
man from the same night, who was also covered in mud, same time that these boys would have died, and they lost it.
Interesting.
And they lost it because they knew anything else would have put a shadow of a doubt on these three guys, and it would have. They needed to nail them down. Now, earlier I'd said that Dr. Vincent DeMayo, who did not agree with Dr. Frank Peretti about the serrated knife causing those injuries, he later said those injuries that were attributed to the serrated knife were probably caused by animals.
Oh, wow.
And he said the boys were found in water, and they'd spent something like 18 hours in water.
Oh, wow.
And he said that part of the woods was actually referred to as Turtle City by a lot of residents.
Oh, I love turtles.
They were everywhere. And in the third Paradise Lost documentary, a turtle breeder actually lets a snapping turtle like bite down on his arm.
Oh, Jesus.
And the marks are the exact same as found on the bodies. Yeah. And the claw marks also matched turtle claws. And it makes sense because they're not deep. They're like just...
Right.
And also, animals will go after like a dead body. Animals, no matter where they are,
right,
will go... An animal will go after the fleshiest parts.
Right.
Or hanging parts.
Right.
And that's like cheeks, like Steve Branch.
Oh, so you
one
think
side
an
of his
did
face
that
was
too?
like demolished. I think it was just that happened to be the side that was
the animal
exposed to possibly a turtle or something else. And then there's also the genitals of Christopher Byers that could have been, and they do believe, in fact, 6 forensic and pathology experts, and with Dr. Vincent DeMeo, all believe that animals were the cause of that castration.
Because they never found his actual...
No.
Right, so it
They
would
never
line up
found
with
it,
that.
and it was really like jagged, and like it also just, everybody's like, why the fuck did one of these kids get castrated?
And not, right.
Like, that's weird. And then why did one of them get like hacked on one side of his face? It's like, so all these forensic experts agreed that they were animals that did this. It made the most sense. And which puts it makes the most sense too, because it was like all this like torture and shit. I mean, obviously this kid's went through hell anyway. Like, I'm not trying to diminish that in any way, but these random things were like just not adding up. You're like, why? Why was randomly, like, was he, on his cheek and he was castrated, and like, what
it just
the fuck?
doesn't line up.
Where did this happen? And all that blood that they're missing at the crime scene, it might have been in the water,
right?
When it could have washed away,
where it all happened.
So it could have been it. And this is where we are going to stop for part 2, because part 3, excuse me. Because in part 4 we're going to go through the what they went through in prison. We're going to go through what the support they got and the people who came out against them. We're going to talk about John Mark Byers, Terry Hobbs. We're going to talk about some of the parents of the victims flipped and decided that these 3 boys are not guilty, which is crazy and awesome. But and then we're going to talk about the Alfred plea, all of the different evidence that came forward after this. So we got a whole nother episode on this, and then we will be finally closing the door on this case.
Is it weird that I'm going to be kind of bummed when this is
I know,
over?
I kind of am too, because I feel like I'm like, but then again, I'm like, my whole like brain has been enveloped in this case for like weeks now.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I could use a detour.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I'm excited to go into part 4.
Yeah.
So hopefully you enjoyed this, and we're horrified by this at the same time.
Enjoyable and mortifiable.
Yep.
Probably not a word, but
it's not, but I like it.
You're welcome. So if you want to hear more about Instagram, go to ours.
At Morbid Podcast.
My brain didn't work anymore.
Mine didn't either.
If you want to find us on Twitter, we're at
A Morbid Podcast.
If you'd like to send us a Gmail,
morbidpodcast@gmail.com.
Join the Facebook group,
Morbid: a true crime podcast.
We hope that you keep listening.
And we hope you
keep
it weird.
Nope. Nope.
Really don't keep it weird in Arkansas in 1993.
Don't
do it.
Don't be doing that.
Don't do it.
Don't.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
This episode is brought to you by SoFi, the all-in-one finance app to bank, borrow, and invest. Say goodbye to account fees and give your bank balance a glow-up with a SoFi high-yield savings account. Get over 8 times the national average savings rate and an epic welcome bonus when you sign up with eligible direct deposit. Sign up at SoFi.com/SXM. SoFi checking and savings offer through SoFi Bank N.A. member FDIC. Terms apply.